All right, guys, so here we go now. It is time for imbaFXO.BratOK versus mTw.Dimaga. BratOK spawning as our red Terran down at the 6 o'clock position on Terminus. And his opponent at the 9 o'clock. That is our blue Zerg, who has been on a tear, taking 3 games in a row for his team. mTw, that is Dimaga.
Awesome. I love this matchup. I love TVZ. It's a lot of fun to play from both sides. It's a lot of fun to cast. It's quite cool.
Yep. It's become a more fun matchup as well. Lately, it was always my favorite of the non-mirror matchups to cast and things like that. My least favorite, it was TVP for a while.
Right.
But that's starting to come along as well. But now with you have better ghost play, you're having a lot more aggressive pushes. You're also seeing a lot more late-game Zergling use as well. TVZ has just become a blast to cast.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a great map for it, too. I mean, it's one of those maps that was around for a long time. It's starting to sort of phase out of tournament usage. I mean, a lot of tournaments still use it, but I think this is a map that we're probably going to see disappear in the next couple months because it is just so big. But it's also a very cool map. I like it a lot. It lets you take 3 bases fairly quickly, although there are rocks at your 3rd, of course. But the running lanes are fairly narrow, which is, I think, the biggest thing that Dimaga is going to have to kind of contend with. The other thing on this map, too, is that just the way that they've spawned, Dimaga's 3rd base is going to be in a great location for BratOK to drop it, too. So
yeah, you're absolutely right, especially because he'll be able to drop pretty hidden as well, because you can put it anywhere from the 3rd all the way up to the main. And you're going to have just a lot of access to your opponent's bases. You can even do some sort of drop action up here in the corner, or move units up here and then ferry them down onto the low ground. There's just a lot of accessibility right now that Dimaga is going to have to contend with, and it looks like he did decide to hatch first. It is Terminus, no real surprise there. BratOK, now, we've seen a few of his games over the past couple of weeks, and pretty much every time that he's played a game that we've cast, we've watched him go into late gas, 15 gas, which he did again, and he has a lot of flexibility after this, but this is standard BratOK.
Yeah, he's really set on this getting gas at 15, which is 2 later than most Terrans would get it. Usually it's 12 racks, 13 gas, but we've seen, you know, BratOK is definitely one of them. There's been a couple other Terrans here and there that have played around with getting a little bit later gas. I haven't had a chance to sit down and play around with it quite myself. Or I actually haven't had a chance to ask any of my pro Terran friends either to see what they think of it. But I'm going to soon, honestly, because I am very curious about it. It doesn't seem to slow things down that much, but you would have to think it does slow certain tech paths down a bit, you know? So, I mean, it depends on the matchup. It depends on what you're doing exactly. But I think it's something worth exploring, certainly.
And looks like BratOK is just going to go ahead and expand down to the natural. This is, I mean, this is to a T what we've seen him play over the past couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm interested what you find as a result, because I wonder what other players are thinking about this build and what advantages it gives you. And looks like we have a factory following this now for BratOK.
Yep.
And he's going to have just enough for a reactor.
Yeah, okay.
Possibly, maybe, I promise.
He could be putting one down, but he is doing other things right now.
Yes. Looks like specifically with an SCV running around his opponent's base.
SCV.
There it is.
Yep. So, okay, so that's interesting. Now, how many Marines does he have out on the field right now?
4.
4,
at the moment, yeah.
So here's a reason why you could go 15 gas, all right? If you go 13 gas, you basically make 2 Marines, and then you don't have enough time to make a 3rd one before you have the 50 gas to put down your reactor, if you go this reactor and Hellion sort of opening. Therefore, if you go for the 15 gas, you can make 4 Marines, then have enough to right away exactly make that reactor, it sounds like. So, you know, I think it's just a way to get a few more Marines out early on. You can do a little bit of pressure like this, and, you know, it just kind of builds smoother. So I actually like that. I might start doing that, actually.
And
cool.
It looks like this Overlord is going to go down. A few Zerglings are trying to come in behind, but BratOK has got a pretty good position right here. But, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but...
no, that's okay.
Overlord just about to go down, but I definitely think you're right. It gets out those couple of extra Marines. Not only that, but it allows you to get down a much quicker command center in position as well to defend it a little bit easier, given that you have those extra units out there.
I do like having the 4 Marines out rather than the 2 Marines, because it always does feel a little bit unsafe when you only have 2 Marines and you're waiting for your Hellions to come out and you're like, all right, please don't Baneling bust me. I know I've been scouting, but sometimes you just don't see it coming. But, yeah, I mean, obviously he knows it's hatch first and he's safe here. But that's cool. I like that it gets those 4 Marines out early on. That's neat.
All right. Well, we do have a third CC coming up for BratOK as well. These destructible debris have been going down for quite a while for Dimaga. Surprised he didn't go after the approach that we have been talking about a little bit. Your macro hatch goes there, so you can begin mining from these mineral fields on the outside, and then you put down your normal third whenever the debris does go down.
Yeah, he's one of those players that likes to get his hatchery before his macro hatchery. If you were to see a player like Lenok, for instance, play on this map, you'd probably see him do the macro hatchery method rather than get his actual hatchery first. So it kind of depends on the player. I mean, Dimaga is much more heavy macro-oriented play, while a player like Lenok, for instance, is a player that more favors just kind of being really strong and safe, and then kind of expanding after that.
And it looks like we're moving into a reactor powering build now for BratOK, but it's a much later reactor powering build than you would think, because of course he did invest in another orbital command before anything else. So he's going to have a lot of add-ons, but it looks like both these players are setting up for a nice long macro game.
Yep, nothing at all wrong with that. It's kind of what happens on this map. Dimaga, though, again, going for a pretty quick lair. It's going to be done around, looks like 8:45 or so, which is pretty quick for a lair. It's not like terribly super quick, but it's earlier, you know?
Right. And it's he certainly does have the gas to support a little bit of tech here if he wants to, so we'll see if he ends up moving into that in a bit.
He's been going so greedy on the teching and the expanding. I'm just waiting for somebody to punish him for it, because to a certain extent, he's kind of gotten away with things. Yeah, like putting up a fourth like that, that's a bit greedy, Dimaga. You're going to play against someone at some point that's going to really punish you for that. So while it's cool, it is a big risk that he keeps taking, and so far it's paid off, but you know, all it takes is for one person to be like, hey, why am I letting you do this?
Right.
And do some sort of earlier timing, and that would really hurt Dimaga in a lot of cases.
And that is very possible right now as BratOK. He's going to set down this third base, but he's already realized a lot of the mining and SUVs and mules off of this to begin with, so his production is quite good at the moment. He's actually 10 supply now, 12 supply up on his opponent. And Dimaga, the same pattern. You hit the nail on the head. Not only does he have that fourth base coming up, but he's investing in Aspire at the same time and upgrades. And look at that. That's basically all the units he has on the field right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at the unit counting station, he's kind of a little bit low. If you look at the supply, too, he's 20 supply down to a Terran at the 10-minute mark. So that's a player that's really teching heavily, really getting his economy going. And then, you know, at this point, you're going to see that big surge of units, and then his supply should get a little bit ahead. Oh, you're going to get away.
Yeah, it looks like it does. But, yeah, I mean, clearly he's saving up for Mutas, don't get me wrong. But still, I mean, that was quite the concession to make to your opponent, especially just hoping that they're not going to punish you for it. BratOK has once again pulled ahead in supply cases. His economy is quite good at the moment. Yes, Dimaga does have 68 drones down, and his economy is basically set for a good period of time here, now actually going into the 70s. But BratOK, he's got quite a bit of production on his own, and he could get very aggressive very soon.
Yeah, he's looking pretty strong. I kind of wish that he'd be scouting a little bit more. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just sending a Marine walking around the map so that you can try to find expansions like the one that Dimaga has. Yeah, that'd be good to start doing. But other than that, you know, he has been macroing really well. He's been keeping up on his upgrades, things like that. It's going to be kind of annoying to have to send SCVs to keep rebuilding those buildings right there. That's going to be kind of a hassle, but
yeah.
Looks like he's going to be able to chase Dimaga away. I like, too, that he's not just wildly stimming and just going crazy with it.
So many players do that recently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite the annoyance. Looks like, this base was actually discovered.
Okay,
BratOK is going to lose his Hellion, but he knows exactly where his opponent is at. And nothing but a few drones popping up here, and those are all going to be roasted.
Yep, looks like he's going to be able to get this queen too, depending on what comes out of those eggs there, but I'm glad that he's using those Hellions for a little bit of map control. Oh, there are more drones. Here come the Mutas. He does lose the queen, and he will kill a couple drones, but yeah, the SCV is definitely doing some damage there. Or, I mean, Hellions, they're not SCVs. SCVs, they have drills, but they don't generally do a lot of damage.
That's true. A lot of people would say they're just as cool, though.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see. We have 6 racks now, all with add-ons, double factory and starport off of 3 base. So BratOK is set for a pretty good period of time. It's now on Dimaga to see what he can make happen. We do have an infestation pit following this up as well, and no real surprise there.
Yep. Looks like he is going to be moving into that fairly quick lair. You know, he does like to kind of get some Mutalisks out to do some harassment with, and then from that go into Ling, Baneling, Infestor, Ultra.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I don't think this is quite as good of a map for that as some of the other ones, just because, again, you know, the running lanes are a bit narrow, and the style that BratOK is going for is pretty good against that. Ooh, almost losing another Muta there. BratOK, we can see, you know, just finished his second factory. He's going to go into really heavy tank production and just go big, beefy Marine tank. And that on this map is pretty strong.
And unlike Straylock, he is his teammate. He has actually gone ahead and started that 4th base right away, so he's going to be able to sit on good production for a very long period of time. Now, Dimaga is, of course, expanding everywhere. He has his 5th coming up. I imagine this 6th is going to be taken as well. Both players are approaching maxed at the moment, though. We're just waiting on that Tier 3 tech to finish up. Hive is already on the way for Dimaga.
Yep. Typical Dimaga. Pretty cool stuff. Kind of going that everybody's calling it the Stefano style right now, and I do too, but maybe we should call it the Dimaga style too. You know, one thing Stefano doesn't do, though, is he a lot of times just skips mutas and goes right into a Ling Infestor Ultra.
Right.
Dimaga's way of doing it is pretty cool in that it puts some pressure on your opponent and makes them a bit unsure of what your tech is going to be in the late game too, which I kind of like. And I suppose it does give you the opportunity to go into Broodlords if you need to as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So kind of interesting to see the differences between those two styles.
All right, well, here comes a drop for BratOK. Muta's pushing through the front there. That's it. That's actually the only 4 Mutas on the field right now, so it's going to be a little bit tougher for Dimaga to actually react to drops. You should see a couple of those Marines now.
10 Infestors out. That's quite
wow.
a few.
Yeah, just all popping at the same time. But look at this, BratOK already with a lot better siege position.
Ooh,
here comes
no.
Dimaga running his way through. There are so many siege tanks up. He could target fire down a lot of the Banelings in the middle. Hasn't actually done so yet, though.
Wow, Dimaga actually cleaning up quite a bit of this army. Oh, no, but some Infestors getting taken out, wandering a little bit too close to the Marines there. You got to be careful with those Infestors. That's a huge gas commitment for him to make.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What are those Banelings doing?
Oh, the Banelings are going to roll into the natural. Ooh. They take out 3 or 4 SCBs. Here come the rest of the infested Terrans, though.
Yep, that's right. They're going to be able to take out some of the real Terrans there, taking down the bunker, and this is going to do really well. Oh, he's actually not focusing the supply depots. Thought he might try to whittle down some of that wall. Looks like Dimaga might lose that hatchery up at the top, though.
And the infested Terrans are going to clean up a couple of supply depots back here, but Brad's got this pretty well in hand. He's also pushing out with yet another task force, going to try and take out a few of these Banelings before they finish up. And Dimaga rushing it with some Zerglings down. It looks like he finally will start to get us around. BratOK have enough? No, looks like it's going to go down right away.
Yeah, Dimaga's upgrades are really, really good right now. I think BratOK, is he at 1-1 for his bio, or did he make it to 2-2?
Look. 2-2.
He is on
2-2.
2-2. So his upgrades are quite good as well, but yeah, those Zerglings hit so fast. I didn't check to see if Dimaga had gotten the adrenal gland upgrade quite yet either.
But you know what? Through this whole process, this little drop has killed 2 bases, and that is actually really critical right now because BratOK is going to pull significantly ahead in the mining game. Look at this. He's up by 50 supply at the moment.
Yeah, no kidding. Dimaga needs to do something about this. I think he's just going to let him die. Those spine crawlers obviously not going to do a whole lot.
Right.
It looks like he will be able to clean up that drop finally at the end, but BratOK still continuing to push here. That's kind of a small group of forces. I don't know.
All right, well, let's see here. What is he reinforcing with? That's actually a pretty good amount of forces back at home.
Yeah, but it needs to be there.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Oh, look like another drop into the third. Oh, boy. These drones do not stand a chance.
Yeah, Dimaga, I don't know why he's not pulling his drones here. He's not really responding to this pressure. I think he's just got a lot to worry about right now. There's a lot going on. 6 Ultras on the way for Dimaga. Don't know if that's really going to be the best in this particular case. It's going to depend a lot on his Infestor control.
All right, well, let's see here. It looks like another drop into the main as well. That actually got cleaned up pretty quickly, but already a good number of workers killed there for BratOK, and he is pushing through the front. As you said, a couple of fungal growths hitting.
Nice
that
fungals.
time, the Banelings go down right away, though.
Yeah, I mean, he did lose a couple Infestors here, softened up some units, but didn't do a whole lot. Oh, no, some drones long-distance mining as well.
Yep.
Ouch, Dimaga is getting way behind.
Yeah, there goes the drone train there, and another drop coming over to the 12 o'clock as well. Yes, there are 4 spine crawlers there, but it looks like BratOK should be able to neutralize that. Here come the Ultralisk right through the front, though. They're sitting on 2-2 upgrades. They attack before 3-3, and chitinous plating is done, and this pack of Marines from the back is going to start chewing through those Ultras.
Yeah, let's see how he micros these Marines.
Oh, that was good, though.
The DPS is just so high from these Marines. They did manage to severely damage some of those Ultralisks, but Dimaga, he needs to go for it, man. I mean, he needs to attack right now. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to have a chance to win this game. I think BratOK is just getting too much momentum here.
I definitely agree with you, and he has just too much supply right now. He's got so many units sitting back at home. He's sitting off of that 4th planetary fortress on the right-hand side. He continues to do damage with these drops. He's denied mining at the subsequent 4th and 5th bases, and he's up by 46 supply. He's looking great right now.
Yeah, I gotta question the wisdom of going for Ultras here on this map like that. I mean, the nice thing about going for Broodlords rather than Ultras is that it forces your opponent to do very specific things. A lot of times, if you're playing well, they can't just, you know, bum rush you with Marines. I mean, that happens sometimes, but that's because things are already bad enough that all you've got is Broodlords out. So going for Ultras, BratOK doesn't really need to change his composition. He just needs to make sure he's keeping up on upgrades and macro, and he can use what he's got against these Ultras. So don't know if Ultras were really the best choice for Dimaga.
And there's the mass repair on the planetary fortress. It's actually being repaired pretty quickly, but here come the rest of the units. I don't think that planetary fortress is going to last too much longer, staying up as long as it can. Oh, it does go down. We have a bunch of units that are rolling through the front as well, though. Look how many medevacs are here. A fungal growth basically does no damage to that group of Marines.
Medevac for every Marine, that's right.
Wow. All right. Well, not too many units left now for Dimaga. He did clean up that planetary fortress, but he is losing everything at the front.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got a little bit of a chance. I mean, he can still kind of macro up, get some good fungals, and defeat the army. He did take out the 4th, so I don't think Dimaga's out of it just yet. Oh, man, but losing the Ultralisk Cavern really hurts.
All right, so BratOK, let's see how much mining he's got left. Well, really not a lot of minerals back at home. He's going to need to find another base here pretty soon. Of course, he does have the option to pick up and lift his orbital command to a new base, and now Dimaga finally has saturated these top 2 bases, so his economy does look quite good, but he is back by 45 supply now.
Yep, he could still come back. Dimaga's not out of it completely just yet, but I think he's in a really tough spot right now. It's so many medevacs. That's kind of what happens when you don't, really invest into mutas that much, is that the medevac numbers for your opponent do tend to get a little bit out of control, especially if you can't get the fungals off quite right on them.
And there's been no threat of banelings for a while, so BratOK has just found no reason to continue making siege tanks. He's now just basically mass marine. He is on 3-3. He's got, what, 80 of them? 81 of them on the ground right now.
Wow. Yeah. And if you look, too, Dimaga's very mineral-starved right now, too. He can't really make a whole lot, so this army is going to be even weaker. Here we go, Dimaga. Nice job catching some of those Marines in the siege tanks here. The Infestors coming and getting some great fungals, although Dimaga still losing more Infestors here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's trading quite efficiently enough with BratOK right now.
No, I mean, the reason that he's been able to trade as efficiently as he has so far is because BratOK has voluntarily split up his forces quite a bit. As you can see, he committed quite a bit to go ahead and take out these drops. But these drops have been devastating, and he's still been able to trade favorably with the units back at home. So he has done everything that's been required of him.
Yeah, BratOK's definitely playing great. Dimaga doing everything he can to try to survive there. But, losing another base. He does manage to save some of the drones behind the Spinecrawler, but I think he might just lose this hatchery as well.
All right, we'll see if BratOK moves out with the rest of the stuff as well. Nah, there we go. The Ultra's actually making their way over, so BratOK picks up for a second till they get himself a more favorable engagement.
Yep. And it's a nice arrangement there. It's kind of tough for the Ultras to get there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, these drops just doing so much damage. I mean, he's almost trading drops for Dimaga's army right now, basically. Starting to add on Marauders. He's got 3-3. Yeah, things just not looking too good for Dimaga at the moment.
Yeah, Dimaga down to half the supply of his opponent, and that actually is falling now. As here come the rest of the units, all the bio stims up, and that is basically it for Dimaga. And whoa! Dimaga letting us know exactly what he thought of that, and he GG's.